Welcome to another edition of Changemakers and Champions. I'm Jermaine Huser, your host, Executive Director of Our Lady of Mercy. And today I'm extremely elated and excited to have this beautiful couple with us, Dean and Sherry Goodwin. Welcome to Changemakers and Champions.
Thank you, Jermaine. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I shared before jumping on camera what inspired this podcast. And it was from a simple conversation that we had in one of the offices at Our Lady of Mercy. And you all were on your way out of town and you just stopped by to say hello. And that turned into a whole conversation of some of the challenges and opportunities we are having at Our Lady of Mercy. And this inspired this podcast because you wanted to take time to learn about what we were doing and build a relationship. Can you share with us why building relationship matters when it comes to philanthropy?
I can. I think our philosophy, and Sherri and I both, and we talk about this, and by the way, that conversation that we had, Sherri and I didn't stop at that point. We've continued to talk about it.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
I'm glad.
And we have more to talk to you about as we go along. But we've always believed that, philanthropy, you can give money to organizations and you can just give it to them, walk away and do something else. But we've never believed in that. We've always believed in embracing the organization, learning about the organization, figuring out what their real needs are so that we can target giving maybe in a better way, in a more effective way, rather than just generically doing it. But more, we just want to be part of that organization that we might support.
Yeah.
I think that we initially got involved in giving and wanting to give back through finances, through volunteerism or whatever, back when we were first married and started attending a church together, and that started with tithing, and how important that was. And
Absolutely.
so consequently, giving your dollar amount or percentage, whatever you choose to give. And so that was the mindset that got us going into thinking, all right, in our marriage, because that was early in our marriage and we made that decision, let's continue to give back. And we have been able to do so, and we're fortunate to do so with that. For me personally, I got involved in an organization in my mid-20s, right after we got married. And it was very focused on getting involved in your community. And to be honest, I got involved primarily because of the social aspect of it. A lot of my friends were doing
Gotcha.
it. It's like, okay, I want to go there. I want to be there. But the organization was one that really recognized that if you're going to belong to this, you are going, in fact, they had a requirement. You had to belong to 3 other local non-for-profits and either be on boards or donate time. And that wasn't so much financial aspect of it, but it was more of a time scenario.
Yeah.
And then as I personally continued on and started my own company, I tried to instill that with my staff as well. In fact, I signed them up for things that I don't know if they necessarily appreciated. But I said, hey, today we're going to go out there and plant flower gardens or whatever. That's more of a time scenario rather than finances. But it's one that if we didn't have the community, if the communities did not have people to give both financially as well as volunteerism, we'd be in sad shape.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I agree. Now, you all came on campus about 2 years ago, I think almost about this time, and we were in the midst of a kind of capital campaign for a playground for our children.
You were.
And I wasn't there at the time, which I'm sad I missed you all at that beginning, but we had our team just show you around campus. And when you all left, you all then made a significant gift to our capital campaign for the playground. And that playground now exists today for children in our entire community. What inspired you all just on day one, coming to Our Lady of Mercy and signing up and saying, hey, I want to invest?
Jermaine, it was similar to what we've been talking about. We saw an ad for donating to that playground.
Yeah.
Notification.
That they wanted to do. It was in a local publication we had back where we live. And we happened to know the person who was soliciting the fund. She's a friend of ours. So we thought, we like playgrounds. We like this individual. Maybe we could give them some money. But then we thought, just like this is where our conversation started earlier.
Yeah.
We thought, well, if we're going to do this, let's figure out who these guys are. What do they do? Because we really didn't know.
Right.
And so we thought, well, let's go meet with them, take a tour, and we'll give them some money for the playground. But let's find out more about the organization. And just in that brief time that we walked around and saw what you guys were accomplishing, what your goals were, what your mission was, and the things that were happening there in that organization, Sherri and I both, as we were making our way around, decided, well, why don't we get involved? Let's find out what it takes to finish this thing. So that was when we asked, how short are you guys on this thing anyhow? And they told us, and we said, okay, we'll cover that. Because we believe in kids and playgrounds, but way more, we believe in the organization, we believe in what you guys would do.
And in part of our giving, I was just going to say, during that tour, we kind of looked at each other and like, we could do this. We want to do this. So I know we both have that look. But in our giving, we have decided that we do have a few focuses, and one of them is children. And so that's where Our Lady of Mercy, it really fit the bill for so many things. And Dean and I, our background, we used to live in southern Michigan, so we're very involved in that community. That's where our businesses were. Right now we share our time with here on Johns Island, in addition to Colorado, also involved in organizations out there. But we were really trying to find something here locally that we could get behind. Our Lady of Mercy fit that bill.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for stopping by and investing us on that day. That changed the capital campaign for us, and we were able to get over the hurdle. And now we have that beautiful playground for children for many years to come. So thank you. So you all were talking about this organization in Colorado. We just don't want to make this about Our Lady of Mercy. And so what set it apart was how your faces lit up about the organization. So do you mind sharing what other efforts or local causes or even causes that you're still involved with really make you smile or really are making an impact?
Sure. I'll let Sherri speak to Colorado. She's a little, we're both close to the organization, but she's a little bit more involved in it than I do. But just local things around here, obviously, we love Our Lady of Mercy. It'll be something we'll give to on a continuing basis. We just love the work you guys are doing. We're aware also of another organization here called Sea Islands Hunger Awareness. We're involved with them a bit too. We have organization back in Indiana where we used to learn Southern Michigan, Northern Indiana, that's involved in working with middle school kids. Started out as an after-school program, but basically they developed a curriculum that they're now teaching in the school system there, middle school kids are so at risk, and they're trying to correct and change behaviors, change attitudes at a younger age so that hopefully that'll carry them through. First, they work on raising GPAs. They work on trying to create student leaders. They work on trying to make kids better friends to their peers, better children to their parents, but just better all-around citizens in our schools and things like that. So we're involved a little bit with that organization too.
Awesome.
Sherri.
Yeah.
It's an organization that deals primarily with the Hispanic community. And it started out in a small scale, recognizing that kids who do not go to preschool are automatically behind by the time they get into kindergarten, first grade, etc. So this Hispanic community, which is so vital, we live in a resort town, and many of the parents, and are needed for the housing, for the yard landscape. I mean, they're such a vital part of our community there. And these kids perhaps could, because of affordability or access, just didn't have the opportunity to go to preschool. So this organization got some old city buses, basically, and converted them into preschools. And so there were roving preschools that went around to the community. And that just led to so many recognizing, oh, my goodness, here's another need. You got the smaller children who are needed, or the parents who are coming into this community and perhaps don't know English. So there's the teaching of English, and then also making these adults recognize that they play a vital role in our community because perhaps they did back in their home where they came from, but are trying to find their way then in the local community where we live in Colorado. So finding opportunities for them to be involved in the schools, and then the leadership roles are developing from there. And so it's just recognizing that people are out there that are perhaps just don't have things easily given to them, and they maybe need an extra helping hand. And so it's great to be able to support that.
Absolutely.
Actually, Sherri stumbled on something else local here in our area just in the last few days.
I'll share.
She's like, don't steal my thunder, right?
Well, we live on Johns Island, and the local churches, every year they have something called Feeding the Multitude. And at Thanksgiving, I think last year they gave out over 1,800 bags of food to people for Thanksgiving dinners. And the churches apparently just recently had a meeting. And one of my closest friends is now working with her church, being a representative, and they were saying, why have just the churches be involved? And I said, goodness, I have other friends who I don't know if they are going to a local church or not, but I'm certain they'd be willing to help.
Yeah.
So I'm passing out the flyer, and then one of the girls says, well, I'm going to pass out the flyer to everybody on my street, and it is just in like 4 days, just blossomed throughout our area with friends and people who we don't even know. So I think they're going to have a few more Thanksgiving dinners, at least coming from our community, coming this year. But that's just the way that one little start, a helping hand, could just blossom into something that's special and important.
Yeah, that's infectious. Both of you, and leading off of that question and the thought that you just shared, are leaders. You've been leaders in corporations and companies, have had to lead people. What role do you believe leadership plays in building stronger communities?
Oh, it's huge. Whether it's political, leaders of businesses, leaders of non-for-profits, whatever it is, the quality of the organization, the quality of the community, the quality of the business, whatever that is direct reflection on the leadership of that. And I firmly believe that. I always believed that when I ran my company. We spent lots of time working on developing leaders in our business, not developing workers so much as developing leaders. And we believed most everybody has some qualities they could lend towards leadership, but it's just, in my opinion, huge. Without strong leadership, organizations die, communities die, businesses die. It's invaluable.
I think one of the reasons that we went to visit Our Lady of Mercy is because for giving, to be honest with you, we kind of did want to see what's the leadership behind it.
Yeah.
And found in Jermaine, you've been wonderful, as well as the other staff that are involved, and I think it's got a great purpose and a good foundation for Our Lady of Mercy. But to piggyback a bit what Dean was saying too, other organizations that I belong to, I've been a Rotary member for over 30 years.
Rotary,
Yes. So, and service above self, that's the motto.
That's the motto.
So that's why I also believe the importance of doing that. But I'm a member out in Colorado, and I chair a committee where we give over $75,000 to $80,000 a year to non-for-profits there as well. So we do a little vetting as far as what the different organizations are, and there's some that are better run than others, but we value that leadership in those organizations. On another level, though, as far as leadership with volunteerism, I feel that this organization I mentioned that I joined when I was in my mid-20s, they actually have like a 4-step program you need to go through, which is all providing trying to recommend leadership skills before you do go out to these various organizations and offer your help with the committees and that type of thing. So I think, a lot of times people might not even realize they're leaders, but can find some hidden skills like, oh, I like this. And if it's where your heart is, then you're willing to perhaps go and become a leader and help out in some capacity.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's an equation that I've always known has had to be in place for organizations like ours that we run, and that is how much do we spend for admin versus how much do we spend for programs and services. Majority of donors and philanthropists want funding to go towards programs, but you need people in order to run programs, and so that then builds up your admin costs. And too often organizations like ours have to play that game, rob Peter or pay Paul sometimes because of programmatic costs that need to be paid. As a philanthropist and as donors, you all give without restrictions. Do you feel that 80-20 or 70-30 rule in place? Does that come into account when you're giving to an organization?
No, it does to some degree, but I would tell you not as much as it might to some others. I have a good friend that's first thing she looks at when she's about to make a donation is how much are they spending on admin? And if it's I don't know what her percentage in my mind. I think hers is probably about 4 or 5%, but she's a little extreme. But we don't really dig into that too much. We look at the solvency of the organization. We do look at that. Are they financially fairly stable? And as you well know, non-for-profits typically don't have a lot of money, but surplus. I mean, it's just the way it is. We also understand that it does take strong leadership and admin to run these organizations. And I won't say we ignore the issue, but it's not a primary focus for us. Although I think if we took a look at the balance sheet and looked at their financials and saw an extreme amount going to admin, some really high salaries in there, might cause us concern.
Absolutely. Well, you won't see that at Our Lady of Mercy.
No, we haven't. Absolutely.
One of the things that you touched on was giving without designating exactly where the Dean and I have both been on boards, and that we have felt restricted because those dollars have to go to, well, for example, I'm on the church board. That dollar has to go to a new organ. We're never going to have an organ, but those dollars are there set for an organ. And so consequently, without the approval of those who gave it to that particular fund, you can't hardly use it for any other capacity. We strongly appreciate getting to know who is in leadership with these organizations that we do give to.
Yeah.
And so consequently, we value the direction that you feel the funds can best be used. So
Yeah, I think that's true. We just trust the organization to do. We really don't do absolutely directed giving. We never have now. That playground thing we talked about, we gave to that, but that's okay. We knew where that was going, and then we also knew we were going to get involved in the organization in a larger capacity in other areas. But typically, we'll trust the organization to use the funds the way they best see fit.
Well, we truly thank you for that. Yes, at least I do.
Well, it's difficult for you.
Absolutely. It is a puzzle sometimes. One of my favorite pictures from our work together is of you two on the playground on the swing. and when I think of that picture,
I think, was that a stage?
I don't think it was.
I wondered if you
Absolutely. It looked like you all were having fun. And every time I've seen you all together, I just think of a very fun and energetic couple. 30, 40 years from now, Dean and Sherry, what would you want people to feel, not remember, about you two? What would you want people to feel?
Well, I'm going to address that.
right over here. Yeah.
We don't hide it from our kids and our grandkids as far as our giving.
Well,
In
more
fact-
than not hide it. We
We
try to embrace that,
Right.
so that hopefully we're raising
And-
them to do the same thing.
In fact, one organization that we belong to, they always had a scenario that every year we had a certain dollar amount that we can then designate where we wanted it to go. And so we made that be a family experience. We asked the director to give us half a dozen different scenarios. And that was our Christmas discussion was, okay, everybody vote out of these. And that was from when the grandkids were even little. They were a part of that discussion. So I think that at least, care whether anybody else knows, but I'm glad that our kids and grandkids know, because I hope that we're role models for them to see how they should in turn look at how they handle their opportunities in front of them as they continue to grow.
Yeah, and they do too. We've had notes from our grandkids talking about a variety of things, but often it'll come up. We appreciate how generous you guys are, and raising another generation behind us and our family that will continue to carry on the legacy of giving that we've started here. Then we've accomplished a lot. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. The word generous is powerful. Yeah. What's one takeaway that you would leave for our audience of someone who just doesn't know how to get started but wants to make a difference? What's one takeaway that you would leave for?
I'm a believer that you can start small with anything, but also it isn't just money either. I'm also a believer in the whole philosophy of time, talent, treasure. You can give time, you can give talent, you can give treasure, or you can give a combination of all of those things, and probably you should. But the thing I would say is, again, you can start small, you can give a little. You can give a little of your time, you can give a little of your talents that you might have. But almost everybody has something they could give. to an organization like Our Lady of Mercy or others that we've mentioned here too. Whether it's volunteering, or whether it's just reading to a child or assisting in your medical facilities. There's plenty of opportunities for people to give. And my feeling, and it's always been, we get so much more out of the giving that we've done than what our life's been becoming, I think. And the give back for people, and I wouldn't tell anybody to do it just to get something back, but you'll get something back.
Absolutely.
You spend some time helping people that are less fortunate, people of need, people that just need help in some way, shape, or form. What you'll receive is far more than what you'll ever give.
One of the things that you mentioned to us earlier when we first got to know you is that Our Lady of Mercy does not want to just hand out fishes. They want to teach them how to
Empower our neighbors.
Deeply.
Sufficient, absolutely.
yes, so they can become self-sufficient. And I think that's a great way to, rather than just providing handouts. And handouts are so necessary to teach them. And I think that's one of the philosophies that we both really appreciated with Our Lady of Mercy. It kind of follows along a little bit with like Habitat for Humanity. And Dean and I volunteered on several homes in the past, but how the next home those people have to go and help build their home, and then they have to, I think, pass it on to the next home and that type of thing. So creating the pay it forward scenario, I think is very important. And it's something like Dean said, that most people can do it in some manner. You don't have to have a lot of dollars and cents to give, but you might have a little bit of time to give. If you don't have time to give, maybe you have an opportunity to share something, that would be of value to help an organization or a person grow. But I think that there's many opportunities for almost anybody to move forward and to help others.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You both shared it. We all have a little bit of something that we can do to pay it forward.
Absolutely.
And you all have paid it forward today. Thank you so much, Dean and Sherri, for your love to our community. And we are special to have you all in our community. We love you. Our organization loves you, not just because you give, but because you care. And we are appreciative of both of you. So thank you for joining Changemakers.
Thank
And
you.
Change
Thank you,
Today.
Jermaine.